ascending trail as far as his stamina would take him, a good 1 or possibly even 200 yards. After panting for a while, hands on knees, he walked off the trail and eventually found a spot that suited him. Here, in a flat patch of sandy scrub, with a huge dark saguaro to his left blocking out the last glare of the setting sun, he looked down at his adopted city. In the dusk, Phoenix looked like a real place with history and secrets, and not the pretend place it was, with everything built 5 minutes ago, a pastel Disneyland for Republicans and old people and methamphetamine addicts. He uncorked the champagne and drank the frothing liquid, spilling several mouthfuls down the front of his shirt. He was embarrassed by his need to commemorate the moment. It suggested that he thought the book getting published was meaningful, or even a good thing. Wasn't he old enough to know better than that? Yes, but he couldn't help it. Ego and its running buddy, sexual desire, were the nightmare guests at Dignity's party. Drunk buffoons that stayed far too late, refused to take polite hints, trashed the place and insulted their host. The champagne stung his throat as it went down. To hell with it, he thought. To hell with everything. The vast city planing out in front of him, purplish smog stabbed through with the neon of car lights, didn't begrudge him his frail vanity. It didn't care. And on either side of Phoenix, the empty desert seemed like an absolution. It was why, despite the harsh alienness of the terrain and his lack of relatives and family history, he'd stayed there for so long. The desert was unforgiving, yet it forgave. Having no memory, what choice did it have? Thanks. The next chapter that I'm going to read is okay. Up next is Mandy Gutmann-Gonzalez. I had the pleasure of working with Mandy at EPIC the first semester that we were both here. And for those of you who don't know, the job is mostly reading submissions and writing yes or no on them, usually no, and explaining why. And over those few months, I really grew to respect Mandy's opinion about the stories that we read. I think she approached everything with a really critical eye, but also with a generosity of spirit, and really tried to understand what the author she was reading had been trying to accomplish, whereas I usually just wrote no LOL on it. I think in looking at the biographical statement on today's program, you can see that sort of generosity applied to her work, put in practice in creative endeavors like giving voice to transgender characters, and in her nonprofit work teaching creative writing to marginalized communities. I think it amounts to a kind of artistic humanism. So, and more importantly, as far as I'm concerned, Mandy and her partner Meg have been the best cat sitters anyone could hope for. So, thank you, Mandy.
A lot of pizza. Thanks, Adam, and thank you to everyone, faculty and staff and friends who are here, and friends who are not here, and family who are not here. And yeah, this has been really, really awesome. And also thanks for the funding, which really helps to have like free time to write, which is just amazing. We're so lucky. So I'm going to read 3 poems from my novel in verse. So it's a narrative series, and the main character is Odessa, an intersex character and second-generation Indian who grows up in the U.S. and then goes to India to visit relatives, and there meets Hijra Aditi. And Hijras are India's third sex. It's like transgender and intersex, but in India they're called Hijras. But the first poem I'm going to read is from Odessa's point of view, and she's still growing up. It's called Doctor's Office. is windowless. He asks me to undress. You can wear this. He places a large white bird's broken wing in my lap. It's winter. I'm holding gloves. Then he's back and I'm lying on the blue table, my mother in the waiting room flipping between fashion models. The doctor swivels toward me in a chair. I know he does it for effect. He lifts the wing and coughs, like a jaguar. His blue body and white hands, I feel him moving outside of me, then inside, gripping. Don't tense up, he says. His mouth clicks locusts. I look away at the ladder bones of the skeleton in the corner. Don't worry, he says to himself. I'm just investigating, almost done probing. I don't understand. Disappears again between my legs. At the door, snaps his fingers for my mother. Points at the space I cannot see under the wing. My mother's face, the same expression as when I caught her eating sugar with a spoon out of a jar before my youngest sister was born. What's that, he says. It's not a question. The hollow sound stays in the room. It's my whiskers, I offer. He looks at my mother with a red face. It's a penis, says his mouth. His mother shuffles her feet sideways the way she does when she's trying not to show anger. Her face tightens. I brought my daughter in for checkup only. Checkup, no check down. You brought her in, you should consider renaming it, amputating. It might not even hurt. It's not like it's hers. I can't believe it's connected. That's a penis. He tears the wing over my head. You should consider getting dressed. His hands albino bats with no place to land. I almost feel bad for them. So the next two poems are from the point of view of Aditi, the Hijra. And this first one is in parts, in sections, and all but the first section begin with a quote from Snow White. So if you hear something familiar, that's what that is. This is called The Real Fake. 0. Barren, this is how I know myself to be, sensationally alone. Disembodied eyes line the frozen lake's embankment, pupil laugh. Beneath the ice, water laps those eyes which hardly blink. There's just the chink of metal against glass. The public gaze extends itself like this. A gauze too thin to hide my nakedness. Red crotch, transparent pain. Oh, where has Guru left my organs? To please my goddess, oh goddess, please be pleased. I'll paint eyes to hide beneath my lids while sleeping. Bahuchara Mata, may I wake tomorrow, find myself a woman. I'm beast in woods, ready for the kiss that will relieve me from this body. My heart the smallest of anchors, borne up by that hope, semantic fuzz, female. On the dissection table the offering lies. On the altar the offering lies. Film and sweat combined, offensive parts, the animal sacrifice of gleam and blood, borne up by fist, knife slashed, for better the goddess to hear the clean-cut sound. On the altar lies the male offense in 3 parts. Before I go to the next section, I should have said that this is, this moment narrates her near one, which is the word for the castration ceremony. 1. She pricked her finger. We took the railroad till its end, then traveled behind a horse's mad eyes, flaming mane, walked the rest. The lake lay in a wood's eye. Here's as good a place as any, she said, as if we hadn't crossed our enormous country. North in winter. My guru pulled sharp instruments from a silk scarf, one by one set them on a shelf of ice. I undressed, my fake black hair flapping round me, offensive bird. hair that positively gushed over my shoulder, dragged on the floor like the scorched veil of a bride to reveal my cold-shocked face, electrified by my imminent transformation. I clouded as I stood in a whiteout's naked blind, laid down on that frozen bed. My guru chose a knife for the cutting. Behind her, I could see the pine trees bending a storm. Clouds parted to reveal more still. The knife glinted in her hand. Involuntary sound in the back of my throat, fear rearing. Guru held up my male parts, asked, "Is this who you think you are?" Ropes held me down. This will only hurt a pinch, an ant bite. She had no training. It wouldn't matter once the goddess entered her. Her eyes rolled back in her head. She said a prayer, threw marigolds in the air, plunged the knife. Ice, my only anesthetic. I did this so I could look at myself. 2. There fell from it 3 drops of blood on the snow. I found my face in the ice. I was covered by a careless blanket. 10 feet away, my organs coiled. I found the place where my feet had dug a hole in the ice. Found indentations made by the tightening rope in my wrists and ankles. Far off on the bank, glow of red flame in a shadow putting it out of my view. I asked the ice face, looking glass upon the wall, who is the fairest of us all? The wind howled in my fake black hair. My face was dry, but the 3 drops of blood in the snow cried. 3. Snowflakes were falling like feathers from the sky. I found where my feet had carved an eye in the ice face, cupped water in my hand, poured it over the blood clot. The way cement has to be watered if you want it to stay strong. The lake reddened, then dissolved me into it. The lake erased me. From the shore, I couldn't see my mutilated genitals. I asked my guru what she'd done with them. Did you plunge them in the hole? She said no. Snow collected in her eyelashes. A hawk must have taken it. I imagined traveling like that. 4. They would have buried her, but that she looked still as if she were living. Uglier than ever, beauty hides after the sight of a knife. The knife saw what needed mending was to break open first, but never as much as I would want. There is a wall through which my flower cannot see light, but I feel the bud inside. Without the sack, the hourglass is running out of man. That light is cold, that it can shaft through anything is what keeps me from entering this black earth. Build me a nest, and time should turn me breast and flower. Build me over, I want to be the real fake. 5. Oh dear, where am I? I met my husband in a brothel bed. Before shaking hands, he shook inside me, kissed me while I slept. When I woke, he was already fucking me. It's a miracle he didn't choke on my poison apple. We high-class girls in the lowest caste know how to get a man off, even while unconscious, legitimated by our caste ration. There's an hour when even here everyone sleeps. I unbuckle my husband from my waist, look at myself in the mirror, brown skin, black hair, nice breasts. He rouses, fucks me in front of that surface so I can watch myself give myself the highest pleasure. For this, he is Prince quality. Such beauty I can't get over my metamorphosis is. I can't believe I've woken to this. 6. Now, you paragon of beauty, this is the end of you. Inside his eyes, I can see myself reflected. He shuts me out with surface. White, he says, white as snow. His eyes live coals. He hungers after that woman as much as I hunger to be one. Being with you is like making love through a chain link fence. He uses the word transcend. Honey, I said, that's what I was going for this whole time. And my last poem is called The Bondage of the Bride, and it's also from Aditi's perspective. Drawing close to the womb, I can hear that child's mockery, and jealousy parts its legs for me to taste of its ivy gourd. Up crawling, twitching leaves, I hear envy out, its silky rub unbuttoning my composure. The wall a nuisance I creep on. Morning glories hang their blue bald heads and harden. Tell me, search and find me hard in the dark pleats of ivy. Shh, listen how quiet. Down there no pendulum, which was years now. No, time will not. The wasp replaced by the hive, but where is the honey, you ask? You have the daring do too. I part for you, that door I leave ajar. Listen to the drip, drip of desire. Husband, plant me and I will outgrow my roots, but who am I kidding? What am I to this morning but a parasite? Look at the unseemly drag of my hips across and over and across. Who pay me to do me, wanting them and I do, wanting in my black heart the bondage of the bride. O husband, it's unseemly how we weather each other. What am I to you but a crate on a wagon pulled by a donkey, walking through the most wonderful view? I once met that woman, the Mimi of your dreams, the one of whom you said, she's like you, but real. A miracle she seemed, too young to carry, child inside her, in her inside that suffocating heat. Sun beating down its whips and willows. Watermelons, her face bends over, her shy hand knocks. It's a question of ripeness. Her face bends and glistens like a bride. I could hear it thumping inside her. A miracle she seemed, too young to carry dreams. I want to feel in me the flailing of a second heart. It's unseemly the way I require. Of this world, sun, water, the weather of your inclement hands. Something elemental, idle clasped on some stone, even but not nothing. Thank you. So next up is Lauren. And your bio is very short. So I'm just going to, this bio is about your life before Cornell, and my bio is about your life at Cornell. So together, they're gonna be a complete bio. So Lauren Shankman was born in Los Angeles and raised in California's Central Valley. After studying